Here we are using the Python imaging library for encrypting, for reading the images, and we are here. This program, what does this program do? We are doing it stenography. Stenography is the art of hiding information in image, text, or video data. Here we are using image data. So the main theme of this program is we have a image, a JP page format image, and we want to encode some information. For example, it's a medical data. It's an X-ray of the patient. So we want to hide the information or encrypt the information, patient name, his disease, and his patient ID into that picture. So here we are using Pillow library. So I have defined here some functions. This generate data, modpix function, encode, encrypt function, and encode function, decode function, and here is a main function. So we will discuss each function in details uh, in the pattern of its execution. So first of all, if we run this main function, it will ask the user to input whether he wants to encode or decode. If he enters 1, then the encode function will be called. If the user enters 2, then the decode function will be called. So let's say I've entered 1. So what will it do? It will call back the encode function. Here we will go to the encode function. So what does this encode function do? It encodes the information into image. So first of all, it asks the users to input the image. For example, we have input the example.jpg image. Then what will it do? Here we have imported the pillow library as an image. So it will read the image. First of all, it will read the image. The image has been read. Now, the program asks the users to input the information. For example, he will enter the patient name, patient ID, and disease. So this is the data. So what we are here we are giving some structure to the data. It's basically a string. Is a patient name, patient ID. Here we have got the data as a string. So what does it do? Here is a exception has been handled. If the users have put nothing in the data, so it will raise value error, data is empty. So if the user actually have put some data into the above requirements now, so we will first of all we will copy the image as a new image. Now it will call the encode enc function. Now we will go back to the encode enc function, encryption function. So what does this function do? This function encrypts the it takes image as an input and the data we want to encode. So here we can see in code enc it takes input image as an input and data as well. So first of all we will give we will assign the size to as 00 the image. Now we will iterate and through modfix function. Here we will see what modfix function does. It actually takes image and data as an input. So let's see modpix. So it takes pixel and data. So what is pixel? It is a actually a image we have uploaded and the data. So first of all we will need to deal with the data. So we need to, as we have put the strings, we need to change the ASCII characters value into the bytes. So here we will use generate function. It calls the generate function. We will go back to the generate function. Generate function takes data as an input, which is actually a string. Now we will convert it into the bytes. Here we have converted the data into the bytes. So that the bytes data. Here we have the bytes of an array of bytes of the data. So data list. Now we will see what is the length of data and image data. Iterate through the pix. Now we have we want to iterate through the pix, but this is an actually image and we want to convert it back into what array of pixels, because we want to convert the image as an pixel bytes. So here we are doing in the range of length data, we are doing image data, we are converting it to the pixels. Here the data it returns are actually the pixels of the image data. So the output of this function is pixels. Let's see, it returns the pixels, the last bytes of the pixels. So here we will go back modpix and this data, get data, we will get this data and data. Here we want to what What do we want here? We want to the bytes of the data to replace the least significant bytes of the image pixels data. So here we are replacing it with this. So here it will returns else x is equal to +1. Here we are appending the bytes. So after encode enc function, here we can see encode enc function has been used. It takes input data. So basically here the main function to encrypt information into the email is this encode enc, and we have seen so far it is used to convert the strings into the bytes. This converts the pixels data, the pixels data we have here. We have seen we have converting into put pixel, and we have converted the pixels into the bytes. It takes the pixels, and what does it do? It replaces the least significant bytes into the data, replaces them, and here encode function has been executed. So what will we do? The information now is encoded in the image. Now we want to store this image. Now user has been asked to input the output name of the image. Uh, mm, and what does it do if the users enters the 2? For example, he enters the 2, the decode function will run. What does decode function do? First of all, it asks the users to input the image which has encoded a message. Then we are using pillow library, PIL library, to read the image data. Now we have data as an empty string. Now we will iterate through the image and get it pixels. Now we will, what did we do in the encode function? We have replaced the last bytes of pixel data with what? With the bytes of data. Now we want to fetch the last bytes and convert it back into the string by converting the bytes into the ASCII characters. So in this method we will get the data back. And since the last significant bits have been replaced, so the original image quality is not affected that much, because least significant bytes are not that the image is not sensitive to late significant bytes. So here we will see it in practically. It asks the users to encode whether he wants to encode information or decode. Here I input 1. So I want to put the image I have saved in my computer as a.jpg. So it asks, program asks to input the, for example, I have put the patient name at this, patient ID is 123, any string, and disease, for example, let's say I have input negative. Though the information has been encrypted by running all these callbacks. Now I want to store it as out dot in PNG format. PNG format is mandatory here. Now we have encoded the information, and the output file which contains this encoded information as an output PNG. Now I want to check the decode function. So here I am putting 2 as a decode function. Now I want to put this file into this, because we want to decode the information. Oh, let's see, we have decoded the information stored in the data.